G'day, it's Matt here from Day One Advisory. In this video, I want to walk you through the setup guide for a new Xero file for e-commerce businesses. We're going to be using the Xero sort of standard setup guide, but importing a custom chart of accounts that you can download from our website. Once you've subscribed for your Xero file and you've logged in for the first time, you'll end up on this screen, and it's a matter of selecting next and then putting in the organization details. Now, the important things to put in here are your ABN number, which is usually a 11-digit number, and your branch number if you know it. Often that'll be 001 or 002. You can find that out by going to the online services for business and looking at your activity statement account with the ATO. Now you put in your display name and your legal trading name and choose which structure you've got. We're going to set up today for a company. Put in your postal address and physical address, and if you really want to, you can put in social links, but those aren't particularly relevant. Next, we then need to set up the financial settings. So in this case, we've got a business that's registered for GST on a cash basis. And again, you can find out that information. If you're registered for GST, you can find that out through online services for business. I'm not going to put in a tax file number today because I don't have one for this demo file. We're going to calculate our GST on a quarterly basis. We're going to lodge our PAYG withholding that this is taxes withheld from employee wages. We're registered on a quarterly basis. And for this business, because it's new, we don't have any income tax installments yet for the company. Now, sales, this is not particularly relevant given we're going to be more than likely integrating Xero with Shopify using something like A2X. But in this case, we're going to leave the tax settings as sales as exclusive and purchases as inclusive. The invoice settings for an e-com business is not particularly relevant, mostly because you're not going to be invoice out in Xero. But for completeness, there's a couple of things that I would change in here just to make this look a little bit better. Personally, I remove the payment advice cutaway because people just don't mail in checks anymore, so I don't feel like that's necessary. And then you would put in your terms down here at the bottom, so that might be, payment due in 7 days. Please make payment to the following account. And then you would list your account and your BSB and account number there. Now, this might be relevant for you for wholesale sales. And you can have that there just in case you do send details, invoices out of Xero. You're also going to want to upload your logo just to make it look a little better. If you really wanted to, that's the standard invoice template. You can go and create a custom template if you choose, but I'm not going to do that for the purpose of today. Under the users, we're going to skip this step in this instance because we don't need any additional users. But if you are going to, you're going to want to invite your bookkeeper, an accountant, you might want to invite some staff into your Xero file, etc. And that's where you would do that by just putting in their name and email address. Now, we're not going to use the default chart of accounts provided by Xero. The reason for that is that it is not customized for an e-commerce business, and e-commerce businesses need a specific set of chart of accounts so that you can get better information out of your Xero file. So instead, we're going to import from file. Now, we have created a custom Xero chart of account that you can get access to on our website. You can download it, import it in, and do your editing. Now, I've already downloaded that, and I'm going to import this. I don't have any balances. Again, this is a new Xero file for a new business, so there's no historical data that I'm going to be bringing in. Once we've imported this, it's then going to tell us that we've got these new chart of accounts, and it's going to go and update the system for those. Now, there are a few things that we need to do to those chart of accounts to make sure that they're specific to your business. Now, you'll see in this case, we have set this up in a few, there's different categories, and I'm going to start with revenue and review them one by one. So in this case, we've split revenue by sales, wholesale sales, market, and expos, the shipping that you recover from your customers. We then take off the refunds and discounts. And then we've got some other revenue down here like distributions and interest, etc. If we go to expenses, this is split by cost of sales. We've then got our direct advertising spend, and then we've got our overhead costs down the bottom here. Now, we don't really need to do anything with these at the moment because they're pretty much set up for how most e-commerce businesses work. If you don't use a 3PL or something like that, you can always go in and delete that chart of account, but there's no harm in having it in there. Where we probably do need to spend any time is in liabilities, and we just need to go and make sure that we go and update the details for the shareholder. So I'm going to put my name in there, pretending I'm the shareholder, and you would do that for all of these accounts where they're relevant, putting in each of the details for your shareholders. The asset accounts, you'll see that we've got set up the clearing accounts already, and that's probably about all you need to change in this instance. The rest of it looks pretty good. Now, what we're missing from here, and I'm not going to add today because again, this is a demo file and I don't actually have any details, but we would need to add the bank accounts. So if we go to add bank account, it's a pretty simple process, but it will depend a little bit on which bank you use. Now, let's say for argument's sake, I use ANZ. I would put in the account name. So this might be my trading account. It's a everyday account. I've put in my BSB and account number, and then it's going to, when I go to save and continue, it's going to take me to ANZ to log in to link the bank feed for that account with Xero. Now, the bank feeds in Xero are super important and they're going to save you a ton of time. What it does is basically at 7 a.m. every morning, it goes and imports the transaction history from the previous day into Xero so that you have all of your transactions on a day-to-day basis ready to be reconciled. So you would go and add these accounts for each of the bank accounts you've got and credit cards, and if possible, loan accounts, etc. Now, importantly, you would also need to add your PayPal accounts and your different currencies. Now, I'm going to show you that in a minute. So let's say we're happy, we've done all of our updates to our shareholder details, etc., and we're happy with our chart of accounts. We can then go to next. It's going to give me a warning saying I don't have a bank account. You hopefully won't get that if you've put in the detail. Now, the conversion date is only relevant if you are importing historical numbers. Again, for this purpose, we're working on the basis this is a new file and we don't need anything, so we're going to go and select next. We can again ignore this because we don't have any opening balances, and that's the end of the basic setup for the Xero file. Once you've completed the basic setup in your Xero file or gone through Xero's setup guide, there's a couple of other things that we need to update. The first is we need to go to settings and add the currencies that we're going to use. Now, by default, Xero doesn't have any additional currencies in here other than Australian dollars. But let's say we purchase in USD and possibly we sell to, let's say we sell to Canada. You can add as many currencies as you need here and just go through and find the currency in the drop-down list. My suggestion is that ordinarily, go and have a look at your PayPal account, and whatever currencies you do transactions in your PayPal account, you'll need that here in order to import your PayPal account. There's one other thing that I would set up as well, and that is to go to Accounting and Chart of Accounts. And go and find your GST account. Select GST and then go to Show on Dashboard Watchlist. I would also add the PAYG withholding account from wages. And finally, superannuation. Payable. Now, the reason for that is that more often than not, from a cash flow perspective, we find that business owners struggle to track their GST and PAYG obligations. And when that quarterly BAS comes through, often that money's already been spent on inventory or put back into the operating cost of the business. By having the GST, PAYG, and super on your account watch list on your dashboard, you'll quickly see how much you owe the ATO and can have that money set aside in a bank account. So that is the process to do a basic setup of a Xero file. If you've got any questions or you need any help with the setup, you can always reach out to our team and we can do that for you. And like I said, when you're doing the setup, go and get the chart of accounts from our website and make sure you use a custom chart of account for e-commerce businesses rather than Xero's default.